All right, so my name is Wyatt Brunholtz, and I'm on Team 5 here, and we are talking about the Cheney versus U.S. District Court case. Happened back in 2004. Um, Lily should be covering the kind of overview of the case and kind of what went on, and I'm gonna go ahead and answer a few discussion questions that were posed at the bottom of the page here. So the first question goes: psychological studies indicate that people have an easy time understanding how conflicts of interest may sway the decisions of other people, but often have great difficulty perceiving that similar conflicts might prejudice their own decisions. And is there evidence of this in this case of Cheney versus U.S. District Court? So, yeah, in my opinion, yes, there's an abundance of evidence that would support the case, or the fact that Justice Scalia may have not realized that the fact that he's good friends with Vice President Cheney could have changed the outcome of the case. So ultimately, Scalia did decide in the favor of Cheney in the end. So one would wonder if the fact that Cheney and Scalia they had gone on this hunting trip during the case together, that could have changed the outcome of the case, possibly in Cheney's favor. So even federal law states that any justice or judge shall disqualify himself in any proceeding in which his impartiality might be questioned. So in this whole case, there is a question: was there enough for Scalia to take himself off the case? And I definitely see both sides here after researching it more. On one side, there's enough evidence there was a conflict of interest in Scalia's part, and he needed to recuse himself from the case. But on the other hand, there's evidence that Scalia also needed to stay on the case. He said in an interview that Cheney was a longtime friend, and he was being sued merely in his official capacity, and that were justices to step aside in the cases of officials who are parties because of official capacity, the Supreme Court would cease to function. So basically, what he's saying there is that um, he needed to stay in the case, or else basically the the court wouldn't function correctly, and it wouldn't be right. So, and he also stated in the interview that there's been many cases with former presidents and former justices, and former other political figures that have spent time with one another, and so what he did was not completely out of the ordinary, and it did not affect the case outcome. So overall, Scalia did face a lot of heat because people saw the potential problem with him and Cheney going on this hunting trip, but Scalia did not perceive the problems that other people saw. So that's a good case of where he might have difficulty perceiving the similar conflicts that might prejudice his own decision that other people had seen. So on to my next question, which is, do you think it would be easy to rule against a friend or former employer in a high stakes case? Does this create a conflict of interest between judges' natural motivation and the duty to render justice impartially? Why or why not? For me, I think it's obvious that making a big decision against a friend like Scalia had to do with Cheney would have been difficult. However, Justice Scalia is a Supreme Court justice, after all, and he's a justice for a reason. So making a decision that affects a friend-like decision would affect the this kind of outcome with Cheney. Should be overall second nature to him, so it shouldn't really affect it. But I believe it does create a conflict of interest because the two socialized while the case was going on, not before the case. I guess maybe before the case because they're friends, but not directly, and they did not do it after. So if they were to take the hunting trip after the case, for example, I think there would be absolutely no conflict of interest. But the fact that it took place during it does raise some red flags for me. So I'm gonna I have some discussion questions for you guys. First question being, do you think that it was ethical for Justice Scalia to not take himself off of the case with Vice President Cheney? And have you had any decisions in your life that have had impact, positive, negatively, on people around you? And if so, how?